Whether you have a home security system or not, this story affects just about anyone. Every day, local police respond to false alarms at homes and at businesses, and that's a major drain on resources. Are police missing real emergencies while responding to these calls? News 4's Luke Moretti investigates in tonight's special assignment.
Don't look now, but somewhere in western New York, a residential or business alarm is going off. And there's a good chance police will respond to a false alarm.
So what happens in a situation like that? Are police missing real crimes to respond to these false alarms?
Take, for example, Lewiston. In 2011, the police department had 290 business and residential alarm calls.
But out of the 290, none of those were burglaries in progress, or none of them were the case where a burglary had transpired when the officer responded.
So 100% of them then? There was nothing there when you got there. Am I reading that right now?
Correct.
In other words, as far as they could tell, they were all false alarms. But police officers must respond to each alarm, and that can pull them away from other work or emergencies.
It gets to be a draw on things, especially if things are busy and we've got a lot of stuff going on, then we have to pull cars to go answer alarm calls, and that may have been avoidable.
False alarms, I don't know, maybe 15–20%.
Okay, for 2011, 100% of the calls that police went on were false alarms.
Really?
Yes. What percentage do you think are false alarms?
10?
10? The answer is 100%.
100?
The town of Hamburg had 1,600 total calls from April of last year through March of this year. Of those, nearly 1,300 were false alarms. But Captain Kevin Trask points out you never know when the real one is going to happen.
Every alarm is, is potential burglary in progress or some kind of emergency.
While it can be hard to quantify, false alarms cost taxpayers money. The town of Hamburg, like some other municipalities, will fine property owners who log more than 3 avoidable alarms. We recently filed a Freedom of Information request with the town clerk to see who's been hit with the biggest fines from last year. Here's what we uncovered. A Verizon wireless store on McKinley Parkway had $2,200 in fines. We went to the store to get answers. The manager on duty referred us to a corporate spokesperson in Rochester.
This is Luke Moretti of Channel 4 News calling.
We left a message not only about this store, but a second Verizon store on McKinley Parkway that was hit with $1,100 in fines. A Verizon spokesperson told us the false alarms were caused by a new cleaning company, not familiar with the system. Town records also show this Tractor Supply store on Southwestern Boulevard was assessed $1,300 in fines. A company spokesperson from out of state told us they're looking into the situation. Meanwhile, Orchard Park just recently passed a similar local law that cracks down on avoidable alarms.
I don't want any of my officers getting in an accident, hurriedly responding to a call that turns out to be nothing.
This is problematic in some towns, especially where they have to travel long distances to get from one place to the next.
Like the Erie County Sheriff's Office. Last year, deputies responded to about 3,000 alarms.
More than 3/4 or more than 75% of the calls that we are dispatched to and respond to turn out to be false alarms.
Scott Jocelyn is the Chief of Police Services for the Erie County Sheriff's Office. He tells me deputies are normally patrolling outlying areas where it can take some time to respond to alarms.
It's a good thing. It gives you peace of mind. But with that comes, I think, the obligation to make sure that it's working properly, and that if law enforcement or fire personnel are called to the scene, it should be, as close as we can get it, a legitimate call.
Tim Creenan, CEO of Amherst Alarm, says the security industry is constantly trying to cut down on the number of false alarms by updating installation quality standards and using enhanced call verification.
Before we send the police, after we receive an alarm signal from a home or a business, we're going to make sure that nobody made a mistake with the system as best we can.
Creenan says they do that by calling the residence or business and one other person that would know whether someone should be there or not.
When we implemented those procedures, especially enhanced call verification, and we statistically looked at our numbers from year over year, we had over a 62% decrease in the number of dispatches. And that was back in 2004.
Still, in places like Lewiston, false alarms are still a significant problem. And because of that, the police department has modified the way officers respond.
We do respond to them, but we make sure that the officers are doing that in a safe and a prudent manner, especially based on the data that we have for the numbers.
Luke Moretti, News 4.